I'm a certified personal trainer, both in person and online, and a certified nutrition coach. I help moms locally in Las Vegas, Nevada, and all over the world shed the weight holding them back from becoming their most energetic and authentic version of themselves so they can go after their deepest desires alongside of motherhood. You can find me at fitandconfidentmoms.com. Hey everybody, this is Coach Rose, and I'm going to share with you 3 tips to prevent peeing during exercise, during activities of daily living, during sneezing, jumping, running. And I really think that this is not talked about enough, but we're going to talk about it today. And I think, up until now in my workout journey and helping clients, this is something that I hear when my clients talk about, and we're kind of laughing about it, right? We're joking about peeing a little bit or leaking, or if we sneeze, we have to hold in our pee. And a lot of women have come to accept that peeing ourselves during certain times is a normal part of being a woman. And that's why it's safe to joke with other women about this situation. But here's the truth. Peeing during exercise, during sneezing, during workouts is common, but it's not normal. It's not normal. And actually there is help. And I think there needs to be more conversation on what we can do to prevent peeing. And that's what we're going to do today. So if you're new to me, my name is Coach Rose Peterson. I am the founder of Fit and Confident Academy. I'm a personal trainer and certified nutrition coach, and I help women 35 and over lose the weight holding them back from leveling up in love, life, and business. All right, so if you're watching live, type live, and if you're watching the replay, type replay. And this helps me so much because it gets this information out to the people that it needs to. And while you're watching, I would love for you, if anything resonates, just drop a 1 in the comments. If you want me to talk more about something, let me know. Questions are always welcome. Don't be afraid, or you can DM me if you have a question. All right, so let me get my notes. First of all, I know in my stories I talked about if you're postpartum. So postpartum means that if you've had a baby ever in your life, okay, it doesn't mean you just had a baby 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 12 months ago. Postpartum is if you had a baby, you are postpartum forever, okay? And so I want you to know that if you've had a baby, you carried a baby, this conversation is for you. And this conversation is also for my athletes. So my high tension athletes that are running, jumping, any kind of sport where we're used to holding our core in or sucking it in or creating tension, this conversation is for you as well, okay? Because truth be told, young athletes are experiencing urinary incontinence. We're seeing this in girls as young as 13, gymnasts as young as 13, because they've spent maybe they've been in gymnastics since they're 3, 4, 5 years old, and they've spent time holding their core. And that holding and tension and pressure over time is what's weakening our pelvic floor. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that today. So I'm going to share with you 3 simple tips to help improve those symptoms of peeing during activities of daily living, or during exercise, or during jumping, or just making it to the bathroom. Okay, so these are some simple tips that you really want to remember. So make sure you get a pen and paper out. So what causes a weak pelvic floor? So first of all, I want you to know that your pelvic floor is the floor to your core system. So if you think of your abdominal muscles, the obliques, you think about all your core muscles, the pelvic floor is right underneath there. It's at the bottom. So it is the floor to your pelvic floor, or it's a floor to your core, your core system. Okay. So when we are, when that floor is getting pressure or tension over time, that's where we see a weakening of the pelvic floor. So there's 2 pretty common reasons that we might have leaking or peeing during these situations or these kind of symptoms. The first one is constant tension or pressure on our pelvic floor. So when we are pregnant, right, our bellies get bigger, we're developing, we've got fluid, baby, all kinds of things, and that's sitting on our pelvic floor. So sometimes postpartum women joke about, your bladder's getting weaker, and as you get bigger, yeah, baby is pressing on the bladder, but what's really happening is we're getting this constant pressure on the pelvic floor, okay? And then the second reason is constant tension. So you could have a weak pelvic floor, or you could have an overactive, or also known as hypertonic pelvic floor. That's when the pelvic floor is always tight. It's always tight. So if you are, for example, you've been lifting for a while and you like to breathe and brace during those max attempts. So we're breathing in, bracing down. That tension and that pressure that's getting created in our abdomen is also putting pressure on the pelvic floor, if you think about it. Okay, and so when we have that constant tension all the time, we're always tight, that's putting pressure on the pelvic floor. If you are a working mom or a business owner, or someone who has a lot of stress in their life, you could be sucking it in, squeezing, holding tension in your body. And that tension is also your pelvic floor is tense. And so for me, I'm actually in the category of hyperactive pelvic floor or hyperactive, pelvic floor, which means I'm tense all the time. And some of that comes from stress. Some of that comes from my lifting. Some of that comes from just awareness that I didn't even know that I was doing this. And so my pelvic floor was having trouble before I got educated on this and before I saw a pelvic floor therapist. My pelvic floor was having trouble relaxing. I was always in that tightened position. So it's really important that we not only have a strong pelvic floor, but we have one that can relax and contract, just like your abs do. And so the constant tension of always being contracted, that's another reason why, like, the second we get like pressure or like we're tipped over to our max on pressure, it just releases because we're not used to having this. I don't know why I'm using this, but I'm trying to demonstrate. So we're not used to that contract, relax. It's always contracted. Okay. So it's important to remove excess tension. Okay. So those are our either constant tension or constant pressure is what's the reason why we might be leaking. So I'm going to talk about 3 simple ways to remove excess tension and pressure from your pelvic floor so that we can prevent this unwanted leaking event, right? And now these things are not a quick fix, okay? Just like anything, like working out or getting stronger, you actually have to put in the reps to see a difference. So it's not a quick fix. This is something you have to practice and kind of be cognizant of in your daily life. And the more you put in the reps, the more you'll see that you're not having as many leaking events, okay? So, number 1, we need to release the tension in our bodies. So some common things I see with women is holding in our gut. And we hold in our gut wherever we go. And if you're not sure if your stomach all the time, I want you to practice this one thing. I want you to let go of your belly. Oh, I already felt that. I could feel so I want you to let go of your belly. And if you're pregnant, I want you to pretend like you're more pregnant, because even pregnant women are doing this. They're sucking in their gut. So just like relax. Okay. So release the whole tension in your body. Stop sucking in your stomach all the time. One place that you can see this naturally before we start getting used to this sucking in is look at toddlers. Look at toddlers, and they're not holding in their bellies. They're not holding in their core. They have these cute round bellies that are just hanging out because that is a relaxed state. They're not holding this tension in. They're relaxing. I had to even remember myself that we got to let go of the tension. So recognizing that we may have tension throughout the body and releasing the tension, okay? The other thing that I see is glutes being squeezed all the time. So you might not even notice it. Maybe you're doing dishes, you're doing the laundry, but what I see with women is they're sucking in their gut and they're squeezing their glutes at the same time. And so they're walking around squeezing their glutes. So release the glutes, okay? You don't have to be sucking it in all the time, squeezing your butt all the time. Release the glutes, okay? So stop squeezing your glutes. So that's the first thing to release tension, okay? I want to check my notes to see if, okay. So those are our two things I want you to look at when I talk about releasing tension. If you hold tension up here, check in with yourself, relax, bring your shoulders down, okay? All right. So second tip is to breathe better, okay? We need to breathe better in order for our pelvic floor to have that relaxed contract. I see a lot of women, they take a lot of shallow breaths. Their breaths are like up here. And usually, we have a lot of tension. We're holding our shoulders and we're just not breathing enough. And a lot of us are constantly taking shallow breaths. And this is what causes us to hold more tension somewhere in the body. So take a look. Are your shoulders always shrugged? I want you to relax and breathe, okay? Breathe into your lats, okay? Breathe into your belly. Relax, okay? So take those deep breaths. And maybe you're the type of person who haven't noticed that you are holding your breath while you work out. So remember to breathe while you work out. Some of you maybe go to classes or you have your own trainer and they're always like, hey, breathe, don't forget to breathe. I see this with my clients. I have to remind them, hey, you're not breathing, take a breath. So here's a simple tip that will fix that right away. If you're the type of person who forgets to, or they're holding their breath while they're working out, is exhale more. Use that cue of, I just need to exhale more, exhale more. That will help you remember to take breaths in. If you're exhaling more, it will automatically help you breathe more, okay? So breathe into your lats. So breathe wide, breathe into your stomach. So that way it reduces downward pressure, okay? My third tip is adjust your posture or your positions when you're working out. So remember I talked about a little bit earlier about releasing tension. Maybe do you walk around with your glutes squeezed and your hips forward? Something like, I'm trying to get this camera going I've got multiple cameras going, so let me know where you're watching from. So is your butt sticking out like this? Is this your normal posture, or squeezing the butt? This could be another posture. I want you to think about releasing your glutes, okay? And bringing your belly button underneath you, meaning bring that rib cage down, make sure the belly button's where it needs to be, that it's not popped open, right? And we're not squatting like this. We're bringing that rib cage down, okay? So we want to make sure adjusting that posture helps to reduce pressure on the pelvic floor, okay? Let me see my other notes. So tip when running, I'm going to actually adjust my camera a little bit, and these cameras over here, which if you see my camera situation, you would laugh. Somehow I figured out how to put two cameras on one tripod. Okay, so when you're running, okay, I see a lot of people running upright and they kind of look like this. There's a lot of tension on the low back. Even when you're walking, I see this too. So I want you to actually have a little bit of a forward lean. Again, we're going to bring our belly button underneath us. We're going to bring that rib cage down. Relax the glutes, okay? We don't need to run with squeezed glutes. And actually running with squeezed glutes is putting more pressure on the pelvic floor. And it's preventing you from being an efficient runner, okay? So a cue to remember for walking and running, or walking long distances, is boobs over boots, boobs over boots. So we're going to bring our chest down. And when you're running, I even want you to have a little slight forward lean. Okay. So when we have the boobs over boots, slight forward lean, that takes pressure off of our pelvic floors. Imagine if we're running, how hard, if we're up here, how hard and that pressure that pelvic floor is getting. But if we have that slight forward posture, our pelvic floor is a more favorable position to run. And my glutes are in a more favorable position to take longer strides and take that stress off our low back, be a more efficient runner. Secondly, your arms, right? When we are running, we also don't want a bunch of tension up here and these stiff arms that are swinging. I want you to relax and think about loose arms, okay? So we're trying to remove tension from the body, okay? All right. Okay, my last tip with postures, positions, and something to look out for is squeezing the butt at the top of the lift needlessly. So maybe you've been told to squeeze your butt at the top of the squat or squeeze your butt at the top of the deadlift. You do not need to do that. And this is also more added pressure on the pelvic floor. When you are coming out of a squat, I promise you that extra squeeze at the top is not doing anything. The only thing it's doing is actually putting pressure on your pelvic floor when it doesn't need to be. So when you squat, come up, stand up straight. There's no need to bring the hips through, squeezing the butt. There's no need for that. So we're going to squat, and that's it. Stand straight up. Do not squeeze the glutes at the top. Same thing with the deadlift. When you're bringing that barbell back into your hip, or those dumbbells back into your hips, we don't need to squeeze and over squeeze. This is putting pressure again and putting our pelvic floor in a not a favorable position. So do not squeeze at the top. I promise you that you are still working your glutes, and you do not have to squeeze at the top of the squat or top of a deadlift. Okay. All right. So I just shared with you guys my 3 ways to prevent peeing during exercise. First is to release the tension in our body. Second is to breathe more and breathe better. And then third is adjust our position so our pelvic floor is in a more favorable position. Now, if you have questions about this, if you're an athlete, if you work out, if you run, if you are a big time walker, you walk 3 to 5 miles a day, and you want to have questions about your specific posture, your specific situation, send me a DM. I would love to have this conversation with you to kind of share some tips that would help you in your specific situation. I would love to help. And also, if you are a pregnant and postpartum mom, I am a certified pregnant and postpartum coach. So I can help you exercise safely through pregnancy, and then also after, in your postpartum period, wherever you're at in your postpartum period, we can make sure that you're building safely. We're paying attention to pelvic floor health and pelvic floor strength. And we're also paying attention to assisting the healing of if you have a core ab separation. Okay. So if you have any questions about that, or if you are interested in working with me further, drop a hand in the comments. We'll get on a little quick DM to see if I can possibly help. So until next time, this is Coach Rose rooting for you to say that it's all about me in 2023. If you found this helpful, please leave me a comment. If you want somebody in your life to know this information, you can save it and share it and make sure that other people get this information. All right. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. I'll see you guys next week.